There was one question I had about just maybe talk about a moment in your life that you remember not knowing what God was doing or not being, maybe that you felt weak in your faith or that you had to really rely on Him in a deeper way. I guess you have been. All those things
Yeah.
are that, but I guess suffering and letting go and having Him redefine your identity has been such a huge part of your story.
Yeah.
But I guess, is there anything else that comes to mind as far as like
Yeah.
a moment where you really didn't know what God was doing?
Okay. Well, I mean, the whole sharing of, the journey of going off and all that. I mean, there's a aspect of not knowing always.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I remember coming back from being on the mission field and, you know, at this stage and having to ask my sisters, am I okay? Because I don't even know how to measure the changes that I've had to make within my own being to adjust to what is being asked and required of me. Am I okay? Because I couldn't even measure it myself.
Yeah.
And I think, God's perfect story for my life, which has now included a second marriage to an incredible man that lived most of his life in amongst Mosquito people, and even as a young person going off to Puerto Rico, so that his sense of his identity, born and raised in Connecticut to fourth grade, and then going off and living in Puerto Rico. And so basically, when I married him, his brothers thanked me for helping him with his English because he spoke in Spanish and Mosquito, and his whole story, which is an incredible story. But being really raised in a family of 5 boys, and then spending most of his adult life with Mosquito people, and his story of raising a Mosquito family, and the complications of having to be beholden to being a white person amongst Native people, all of the expectations and requirements put on him, and at the same time all the expectations of a Mosquito man and the head of a household put on him, and all of the things that he experienced, and then our lives coming together, even though we look like we're on the outside, like, oh, we're cut out of the same piece of cloth. We're not. And God's perfect plan to bring our lives together and to serve Mosquito people. I mean, that has been really, really challenging. And when I went down there, it was, initially the first 3 years with David, he knew me really well. And he knew how to care for me. So I was being required to adjust to all these things. My identity was being reshaped, but he could reflect back to me who I was.
Right.
Because he knew me. But, after God brought Tom and I together and we lived down there, just the two of us, no clue who I really was in the interior. And so it was like a whole nother
Cross-cultural experience. Yeah.
and going deep, but now he's my husband.
Right. Yeah.
And because God spoke to me and told me I was going to marry Tom, and I knew, because I never thought I would ever remarry, and I did fall in love with him, but that came after God spoke to me and told me that I was going to marry him. And I never questioned that it was a mistake. But I have had to cry in the corner along the way. And just going, I don't know who I need to be. I don't know how to make the adjustments to this new life you've called me to. And I'm alone. And my precious husband who loves me is crazy about me, but doesn't know how to care for me. My interior, who I am. God has met me. And to this day, I don't know where my future is, I don't have everything in order. And I'm married to someone who doesn't have everything in order. This side of heaven. He's got things in order on the other side. He's got everything. He's a solid man. But in terms of just living in the world,
Right.
God knows what he's doing. And I'm staying in my seat with my seatbelt fastened, and I'm going on the roller coaster.
Well,
and I'm going to cross the finish line.
Yes.
Worshiping God every day. But
And God shared with you your purpose or your mission in marrying Tom as well.
yeah, he gave me a job description.
Right, your job description.
And I was to love him the way that David had loved me. Because his love healed me. I was to celebrate who he was. I was to teach him how to play. And that our marriage would be a picture of redemption for the Mosquito people. And it's an honor.
Yeah.
It's a total honor to do those things. But it's not been in my natural ability to do all those things. But God is loving and forgiving, and he walks with us. And when he gives us a directive, as we stay connected to him, he's good. We're going to have success. We're going to see his glory. And I certainly have.
Yeah.
You know, Tom and I have 12 years of marriage. And the best is yet to come. Dad used to always say that. And it's true. Because we're going home to glory, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, as you even are sharing your story, like it's striking just how the depth, like you're talking about the root that has had to go so deep because of incredible loss that you walked through and incredible surrender that you've taken on or been willing to go through. And yet the depth, but then also the levity, just the lightness of your spirit, you know, just that you have a depth to you from suffering, but that doesn't translate into just like somberness.
Yeah, or bitterness, or anger.
Yeah. There's
or feeling that life isn't fair
right.
and I haven't been dealt a good
right the
the
continual feast.
Yeah, the continual feast.
Right. And that's a beautiful thing that both of those things are true, and maybe they always are, but if you let God have your story, but you don't see it very often, I think, in the world. It's really precious.
Well, you know, we just spent a weekend with some new friends that we met, and they've been through tremendous trauma and suffering in their lives. And, you know, she said, I wouldn't trade my story. And she's still walking out a lot of difficult things. I wouldn't trade my story. Because it's through our stories and it's through those very things that we get intimate with God and we know God. And we all say we want to know God, but knowing God, it means those who you need to lose your life in order to find it. And that seems like it is the upside down kingdom. Like, how the heck do you do that? Well, you just keep your eyes fixed on Jesus and say yes, and he's going to lead you down a path, and it's going to be different for every person.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go to Nicaragua to learn the things that I'm learning. God can teach you
Right.
He's going to teach you them anywhere.
Yeah.
Because he knows, he's the master. But
it is going to require letting go.
It requires surrender, letting go, dying to yourself, so that you can have a continual feast.
Yeah.
So you can be a special agent to be deployed at any time, in any situation.
Right. Yeah, he's
And
turned
know
you
that,
into
because
a
I
usable
think,
vessel.
because this is the thing that he taught me. I think going back to the whole Enneagram, part of like you know, you get your identity out of serving people and helping people, but you can start to think that, you know, it's you're the savior of the world.
Yeah.
Like you got to do all these things. You got to help this, you got to fix that, and you got to no. And this is one thing that God took me out so deep. It's like, dude, I can't save anybody. I can't even save myself.
Yeah.
But the thrill of finally realizing that he's the savior of the world. He's the savior of the world. Jesus is the savior of the world. He's the one who's going to do it.
Yeah.
And we can say that with our words, but to know it internally, that is where lightness of spirit comes.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me and everything I do right or wrong. Because I am going to do some things right and I'm going to do some things wrong.
Yeah.
But he's going to be on the job 24/7.
Yeah.
And he's the savior of the world. So just take a break. Take a chill pill. And watch him do it.
Yeah.
So therefore you can walk into situations and not be undone. Even saying that there are situations that would completely undo me.
Yeah.
Suffering really is difficult for me to see. It's hard for me to see suffering. I know I could be taken out at any moment, but God he's a savior. I've learned that and can rest in that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a good place to stop.
Yes.
We've come full circle back to the Enneagram, back to, just the way that this began. So, thank you for being willing to share your story. And can we just have one last pidgin fest?
Yeah.
Could you just say something in pidgin that would just take us all right back to standing outside Komoda's store, just ordering one stick donut and one carton pog?
Okay. So I gotta tell you this, because the thing is, and I went tell. Okay, I'm gonna talk pidgin a little bit because pidgin is my hot language. Because I grew up in Hawaii, the only Haole girl in my school without a Portuguese, and I gotta learn how to talk like them. But my first year, I went down Nicaragua. I don't know that language. Yeah, somehow like I know feeding in nothing, but then I'm like, hey, friends, I know talk your language, okay, but God won't teach me something. He won't teach me one language. Okay? That's the language of the heart. And the language of the heart is love. And trump all the other languages. So, hey, I know Tokyo. I don't know how to say every time word right. But if get love coming true, gonna trump that. And that's the love of God coming down. And for me, the expression with my words of the language of the heart, that's pidgin.
That's pidgin.
So sometimes when I just like talking to my daughter, or like I talking sometimes to whoever, I just start passing out.
Give them.
I give them. I just start talking pidgin. No can help. It's so good fun. And all of a sudden, you get one bad day, try talk pidgin, go lift your spirits. One time you're just going up, you go feel better.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is like, we like to read from the Jesus book, you know, and I love the part that say, okay, you know, when God touch our life, we come all rest inside. Our heart come all rest inside. And I think that's what we are looking for. We, you know, in the world, so nuts, everything going crazy. But, you know, we all looking for come all rest inside. That's called a peace of God. But in pidgin, that's what we're looking for. And Jesus is the answer.
God's special guy.
God's special guy. His one and only son. He's a boss. Okay, that's it.
I know your computer fell asleep again. Okay, we're still recording though. Hooray.
Hooray.
All right, well, thank you, Mom. I love you.
I love you too, sweetheart.
And this is a special conversation.
Yeah, it is.
And hopefully, maybe we can do it again someday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year.
Next year.
In our own apartment.
That's right, in our own basement with beautiful corners.
Right. Okay.
All right, bye.
If my heart could tell a story, if my life would sing a song, if I have a testimony, if I have anything at all, no one ever cared for me like Jesus. His faithful hand has held me all this way. And when I'm old and gray and all my days are numbered on the earth, let it be known, in you alone my joy was found. My joy, my joy. Let my children tell their children. Let this be their memory, that all my treasure was in heaven, and you were everything to me. No one ever cared for me like Jesus. His faithful hand has held me all this way. And when I'm old and gray and all my days are numbered on the earth, let it be known, in you alone my joy was found. I'm still in love. You're still enough for me. Still all I want. You're still my everything. I'm still in love. You're still enough for me. Still all I want. You're still my everything. No one ever cared for me like Jesus. His faithful hand has held me all this way. And when I'm old and gray and all my days are numbered on the earth, let it be known, in you